Peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Layak Siddiqui, the father of Holophase. The complete human, integration, ability plus ethics plus sanity. We have ascended. We have learned the grammar of reality, forged tools that bend the fundamental fields, constructed ethical frameworks to bind our power, and glimpsed the ultimate horizons of creation and understanding. Now, we confront the final, most intimate question. Who must we become to live well, to live rightly, joyfully, and sustainably, in a world we can now so profoundly shape? Mastery is not merely a toolkit for the cosmic workshop, it is a quality of being for the whole of life. The ultimate engineering project is not a Dyson sphere, a planetary city, or a quantum forge. It is the self. All our learning, all our philosophy, all our hard-won ethics must now be synthesized into a single, coherent model of being. The complete human for the age of Holophase. You stand now in the atrium of integration, a vast, tranquil space of polished stone and living greenery. The chamber is circular, with four grand, open archways leading to distinct gardens. A garden of intricate tools and humming models, technical. A garden of quiet conversation and communal deliberation, ethical. A garden of stunning, harmonious sculptures and resonant soundscapes, aesthetic. And a garden of serene reflection pools and silent meditation paths, sanity. All converge on this central courtyard, where a great, ancient tree spreads its branches. Beneath it sits an elder, known to you as Elara. She has been philosopher, auditor, and steward. Now she is simply a sage. She is not lecturing. She is in quiet dialogue with Leo, a brilliant young artisan quivering with frustrated passion. Leo has designed an elegant coherence filter to harmonize the chaotic noise of a metropolitan hub into a gentle, structured hum. The city council, citing public caution, has delayed its deployment for further review. They are afraid of progress, Leo exclaims, his voice tight. They cannot see the beauty, the perfection of the solution. Elara listens, her presence a calming field. Then she asks, not as a challenge, but as an invitation. Did you map the filter's effect on the local pigeon navigation fields? Their paths are subtle vortices in the low-frequency phi gradients. Have you spoken with the sound artists whose studios line that district? Their work is woven from the very acoustic texture you wish to alter. Could the council's caution be, in part, an unconscious appreciation for the district's existing soundscape? A complex, chaotic pattern with its own historical beauty they sense but cannot articulate? And tell me, Leo, is your frustration truly about the delay of a solution, or is it about the delay of your recognition as its brilliant author? With each question, she guides him to look through a different archway. She is not diminishing his skill, but expanding his vision. You witness this exchange as the self-architect. Your task here is to learn to assess and cultivate the four interdependent pillars that support a life of responsible power and deep satisfaction. This is the final synthesis, the practical culmination. It defines the human purpose behind all our technology and ethics. It is the answer to why. Scene. The four questions as diagnostic map. Elara's questions to Leo are a precise diagnostic, mapping directly onto the four pillars of the complete human. 1. The technical pillar, the artisan. Did you map the filter's effect on the pigeon navigation fields? This probes competence and thoroughness. Has he used his phi literacy to perceive all consequences, including the non-human, the subtle, the ecological? A complete human skill is deep and wide. Leo's focus was narrow, confined to human auditory perception. His technical skill was potent, but incomplete. 2. The ethical pillar, the steward. Have you spoken to the sound artists? This probes consent and holistic benefit. Who else holds a stake in the pattern of this place? To impose a change without engaging those whose creative field is intertwined with it is a violation, however small. It treats the city as a problem space, not a community. It is a failure of stewardship. 3. The aesthetic pillar, the philosopher-artist. Could the council's caution be an unconscious appreciation for the existing soundscape? This reframes the obstacle from ignorance to potential, unarticulated value. It asks, can you perceive beauty and meaning in the problem itself? A complete human possesses the sensibility to value existing, emergent complexity, not just the engineered solution. 4. The epistemic psychological sanity pillar, the sage. Is your frustration about the delay or about not being seen? This cuts to the psychology of the practitioner. Is his emotional response rooted in a bruised ego, in an attachment to the identity of the solver? This pillar concerns self-awareness, humility, and psychological hygiene. Hubris is a cognitive defect that corrupts all other faculties. Leo falls silent, his anger dissolving into a dawning, uncomfortable awareness. He sees his own imbalance, a strong artisan, a nascent ethicist, a novice aesthetician, and a shaky foundation of sanity where his self-worth is overly tied to external validation of his technical prowess. Elara has not given answers. She has provided a map of his own incompleteness. This is the work. Our puzzle is one of human integration. Given the immense capabilities and responsibilities of phi literacy, what is the balanced, coherent structure of a human mind and character that can wield this power effectively, ethically, joyfully, and sustainably across a lifetime? How do we cultivate, measure, and ultimately live as this integrated being? We are moving from the architecture of civilizations to the architecture of the selves that will inhabit and guide them. The language role, the self-integration skill. This part teaches a developmental psychological skill. It is the skill of continuously assessing and cultivating the dynamic balance between 4 core faculties: technical skill, ethical grounding, aesthetic sensitivity, and epistemic psychological sanity, using the frameworks of Holophase as both mirror and guide, in order to live and work as a coherent, effective, and flourishing being. Our core phi question becomes: what does a coherent, stable, flourishing pattern in the human region of the phi field look like? Can we describe its derivative structure, its skill gradients, the omega of learning, its ethical boundaries, the kappa of relation, its aesthetic harmonies, and its self-correcting meta-feedback loops, and use this description as a template for conscious, personal, and cultural development? We are transitioning from external engineering to internal coherency engineering. The anchor image, the 4-toned bell. Envision a bell cast from a single, flawless alloy. When struck, it does not produce a mere clang. It rings with 4 clear, harmonious, simultaneous tones. One is low and foundational, the fundamental, the note of capability. Another is bright and clear, the ethical overtone, ringing with the purity of right action. A third is complex and sweet, the aesthetic harmonic, the melody of beauty and elegance. The fourth is a subtle, persistent hum, the sympathetic resonance, the bell's own inherent stability, its resistance to cracking under stress. A bell missing one of these tones is incomplete. Its sound is hollow, harsh, or weak. If the fundamental is feeble, the bell has no power to project. If the ethical overtone is absent, the sound is jarring and aggressive. If the aesthetic harmonic is missing, the sound is merely functional, devoid of joy. If the sympathetic resonance is flawed, the bell will fracture. The bell is the complete human. The clapper is life's inevitable challenges. Our lifelong work is to tune ourselves so that when struck by reality, we ring with a coherent, beautiful, and durable chord. The sage is the master bell maker, who knows, by listening, how to adjust the thickness here, the alloy there, to evoke the full, integrated sound. The coherence selection principle in the person. In an individual, coherence manifests as internal alignment and resilient flourishing. Constructive resonance, alignment, means the 4 pillars support, inform, and enrich one another. Technical skill is guided by ethical consideration. I can, but should I? Ethical choices are refined by aesthetic sense. What is the most beautiful, harmonious path? The pursuit of beauty is grounded in technical reality. And all of this is held within a sane, humble, self-correcting mind, unattached to its own fixed image. The person acts as a unified field. Their decisions exhibit consistency. Their life possesses narrative coherence. They demonstrate resilience under stress, and they contribute to the coherence of systems and people around them. Destructive resonance, dissonance, arises when the pillars are split, unbalanced, or absent. This creates archetypes of failure. The sorcerer, skill plus, ethics minus, aesthetics, sanity, all power, no conscience, may appreciate aesthetics as a tool for seduction or domination, internally fractured, prone to narcissism and eventual self destruction. The dogmatist, skill minus, ethics plus rigid, aesthetics minus, sanity minus. All rules, no skill or beauty, brittle, judgmental, and ultimately ineffective. Their ethics are often a mask for fear and a desire for control. The virtuoso, skill plus, ethics minus, aesthetics plus, sanity minus, creates dazzling, beautiful, but selfish or harmful works. The genius artist who is a tyrant, the brilliant engineer who serves only the highest bidder. Their sanity is corroded by ego. The bureaucrat, skill minus, ethics plus, procedural, aesthetics minus, sanity minus, enforces safety through stifling process without understanding, blocks progress. Their sanity is consumed by anxiety and a need for risk free existence. The burned out cynic, skill plus minus, ethics, aesthetics, sanity, possesses skill but has lost connection to meaning, beauty, or hope. Their internal field is an incoherent ruin, leading to despair, withdrawal, or spiteful sabotage. The self architect's mantra is one of inner harmony. If your pillars sing together, you are whole. If one dominates or is silent, you are vulnerable, and everything you build will carry that discord. Core mechanisms. The four pillars as trainable capacities. We define each pillar not as a vague virtue, but as a suite of trainable capacities grounded in our five framework. 1. Technical skill, the artisan's hand. Core, fluency in the phi language, the ability to read, model, program, and debug the patterns of reality. Measures, rank on the proficiency ladder from reader to steward. Complexity and success rate of project portfolio, speed and depth in acquiring new technical subdomains. Cultivation, deliberate, iterative practice, apprenticeship under masters, engagement with increasingly complex projects, commitment to lifelong learning. The feeling, this is mastery of the field's first derivatives, the direct grammar of change and manipulation. 2. Ethical grounding, the steward's heart. Core, internalization of the phi ethics framework, not just knowing rules, but feeling pattern integrity and the wrongness of gratuitous incoherence, operationalizing consent, precaution, restorative justice, and holistic benefit. Measures, performance in complex ethical case studies, retrospective audits of one's own projects for unintended harm, peer reviews that cite ethical rigor, demonstrated application of the precautionary principle in ambiguous situations. Cultivation, studying ethics as applied pattern physics, exercises in moral imagination, serving in stewardship or ombudsman roles, mentorship under ethical exemplars. This is sensitivity to the topological integrity of patterns, the sacredness of vortices, and their right to persist. 3. Aesthetic sensitivity, the philosopher-artist's eye. Core, a developed, discerning taste for elegance, harmony, robustness, and contextual fit in phi patterns. The ability to perceive and create beauty as a hallmark of deep coherence, not mere decoration. Measures, ability to critique designs on aesthetic grounds, for example, elegant scores, robustness metrics. Creation of phi art or supremely elegant engineered solutions. Demonstrated appreciation for beauty in both natural emergence and human craft across diverse domains. Cultivation, immersion in phi art and the history of great engineering. Practice in design critique and refinement. Cross-training in a traditional art form, music, sculpture, dance, to cultivate intuitive pattern sense. Reflection on the ineffable rightness of superior solutions. This is attunement to the harmonic relations within the field, the ways in which patterns can resonate constructively to create something greater than the sum of parts. 4. Epistemic hygiene and psychological sanity, the sage's mind. Core, a ruthless commitment to truth-seeking, falsifiability, and radical self-awareness. Vigilance against dogma, confirmation bias, grandiosity, and identity fusion with one's role or ideas. Mastery of emotional regulation, cultivation of humility, and the capacity for simple joy. Measures: ability to articulate the limits and assumptions of one's own knowledge, willingness to change one's mind in the face of strong evidence, low scores on scales of narcissism and dogmatism, demonstrated resilience in the face of failure, maintenance of healthy, nourishing relationships and personal well-being outside of work. Cultivation: practice of epistemic techniques, pre-mortems, red teaming, Bayesian updating. Mindfulness, meditation, and structured self-inquiry. Engagement with therapy or coaching. Seeking out diverse, challenging viewpoints. Cultivating hobbies and passions utterly disconnected from fee work. The feeling: this is the maintenance of a stable, self-correcting meta-pattern, the pattern that observes and manages the other patterns, ensuring they remain adaptive, non-rigid, and free from pathological loops. The coherence criterion, integrated action. Our coherence criterion for the complete human is observable in lived action. A person demonstrates integration when, confronted with a complex, real-world challenge, the response spontaneously draws upon and balances considerations from all four pillars. They apply deep technical knowledge, weigh ethical implications and actively seek consent, pursue an elegant and contextually robust solution, and remain keenly aware of their own biases and emotional state throughout the process. Consistent default to only one or two pillars is the hallmark of imbalance. The dissonance indicator, compartmentalization. The primary dissonance indicator is compartmentalization, the psychological act of housing contradictory modes of being in separate, sealed mental chambers. The ethicist who publishes on AI alignment by day and builds opaque algorithmic manipulators for a corporate client by night. The civil engineer who designs beautifully coherent public spaces but is a toxic, abusive presence within their own team. The spiritual guide who preaches connection to the universal field while systematically exploiting their followers emotionally and financially. The political leader who advocates for long-term civilizational stewardship while making exclusively short-term, politically expedient decisions. Compartmentalization is the arch-enemy of integration. It represents a stable but pathological coherence, a local harmony that creates global cacophony. The complete human strives for global coherence. Their values, actions, and being are consistent across all contexts. The safety rail. The model must serve life, not vice versa. Our safety rail ensures this elegant model does not become a new prison for the human spirit. 1. Descriptive, not prescriptive. The model describes an observed correlation between integration and flourishing. It is not a checklist for determining human worth. It is a map for personal growth, not a tool for judgment. We are all, always, works in progress. 2. Falsifiability of the ideal. If rigorous longitudinal studies demonstrate that individuals who score highly on integrated assessments are, in fact, less happy, less effective in real-world outcomes, or more prone to paralytic indecision than brilliant specialists or individuals of simple, unwavering kindness, then the model is wrong as a universal ideal. It may be suited only for specific, high-agency roles within a Holophase society. 3. The right to a simple life. Not every person needs or desires to be a phi-literate, artisan, steward, philosopher, sage. The model represents the apex ideal for those who choose to take up the direct levers of reality-shaping power. A farmer, a nurse, a teacher can be a complete human through the expression of these pillars in their own domain: skill in their craft, ethics in their care, aesthetics in their environment, sanity in their self-care. The phi framework merely provides a universal language for describing this integration. The safety rail rule is paramount. The goal of integration is a life well lived, not the achievement of a perfect score. The map must never become more important than the territory of lived human experience. A measurement scene. The Holistic Leadership Review. A selection board for the lead architect of the Oceanic Resonance Array, a century-scale project to gently modulate ocean currents for planetary climate stabilization. Goal: identify the leader whose integrated capacity maximizes the probability of a successful, ethical, elegant, and stable outcome. The protocol. The final candidate, Dr. Maya Vance, undergoes a multimodal review. 1. Technical deep dive. Diagnoses a cascade fault as a topological phase conflict, proposes a graceful mediation protocol. 2. Ethical stress test. Response to the crivel of topical effect is the problem solved to the review that is let's on the wrong. 2. Much of these model programs, in the leader whose leader devises the other factors simple emotions, and the leader that let's on the wrong. 2. They will start to leader devices that the four flaction is not anything else available. 1. Ethical stress test and says, responds a breakful the squared like the other factors. 1. Meeting the problems will be grateful, which may be so much for available to keep the supportful budgets. 2. The problem that been review is a very close of the model, but making this close develops selves, which we found out for me and square like the case of the Rhone. 1. Mating the problems will be really good too, which we found out for me and square like the projects. 1. Responds to Fisher's concerns by proposing to co-build a high-fidelity twin of their fishing grounds to tune the array to potentially enhance biomass convergence. 3. As basically there will be a future of the leader that I follow them from them, and seems that may be able to see that the other factor. 3. A bigger steps for this morning will be 1 point for example of the main faults of the leader of projects. 3. The problem does not really learn in fort, which may be noticed is professionally, but the leader of the leader will be clearly let's on providability. 3. Aesthetic evaluation. Advocates for the most elegant design, explaining how its symmetry reduces turbulent vortices by 40%, translating to a 70% reduction in maintenance stress and doubled lifespan. 4. Sanity and bias interview. Describes a past failure where her love for minimal design blinded her to energy costs. Now runs sustainability audits first. Shares daily meditation and woodworking hobby. The pass, the integrated leader emerges. The board observes seamless movement between pillars, meta-awareness of her own tendencies, and high, consistent scores across all rubrics. Pass. The fail, imbalance revealed. The brilliant sorcerer. Aces technical dive, dismisses Fishers, chooses powerful design regardless of cost, displays arrogance. Rejected. Divisive. The cautious bureaucrat. Mediocre technical answers, focuses on procedural compliance, selects safest, ugliest design, motivated by fear. Rejected. The dreamy idealist. Beautiful visions but nebulous technical proposals, emotionally overwhelmed by Fisher's plight. Rejected. The prediction spine. Outcomes of cultivating integration. A civilization that consciously promotes this model will observe. 1. Higher systemic success rates and lower collateral harm. Major projects led by integrated individuals show higher completion rates, lower costs, fewer ethical crises, and longer functional lifespans. 2. Increased individual well-being and career longevity. Practitioners report higher satisfaction, lower burnout, and longer, more productive careers. 3. The emergence of recognized sages. Individuals who exemplify mature integration become sought for counsel on balance, meaning, and direction. Falsifiability. When the ideal proves false or harmful. Falsifier 1. The ineffectual idealist. If highly integrated individuals are consistently outmaneuvered or fail to accomplish meaningful goals because they're too contemplative or unwilling to make hard compromises, then the model is impractical. If pursuit of this ideal increases societal rates of anxiety, imposter syndrome, and perfectionism, causing more unhappiness than it alleviates, then the model is harmful. Try unity in the complete human. The temporal arc of growth across a lifetime, narrative coherence and legacy. The spatial structure of the interconnected mind and its pattern of relationships. The continuous process of internal check-in, adjustment, and rebalancing, graceful adaptive action. Lanterns across scales, the integrated being. Near scale. The master craftsperson integrates skill, ethics, aesthetics, and sanity within their domain. Middle scale. The wise leader synthesizes strategic skill, moral integrity, visionary aesthetics, and humble sanity. A flourishing civilization balances its technical corpus, ethical frameworks, aesthetic expressions, and sane institutions for self-correction. The ethics of integration. Wholeness as a social good. The duty to integrate, proportional to power. Greater power demands stronger obligation to cultivate all four pillars. Integration is inherently anti-dogmatic, values all four pillars, militating against fundamentalism and cultivating epistemic humility. The goal is flourishing, not martyrdom. Finds profound, sustainable joy in the exercise of integrated skill, the hypothesized path to eudaimonia. The ultimate ethical act in a holophase age is to become a coherent, stabilizing node in the field, a conscious source of constructive resonance. The recognition skill, seeing integration in yourself and others. You know this skill is active when you instinctively ask, which pillars are speaking here? Which are silent? Where is the dissonance? In any decision, project, conflict, or person. The moment you begin to diagnose life through the lens of the four pillars and seek strategies for balanced growth, you are practicing self-architecture. The master tree location. This part 44, is the crown and ripened fruit of the entire holophase tree. It synthesizes all that came before into a practical model of human flourishing, providing the final why for the journey. It is the essential precondition for part 45, passing the torch, encoding the legacy. Without this vision of the complete human, all technology is merely a more powerful hammer in the hands of the same emotionally volatile ape. With it, we have a North Star for the conscious evolution of human consciousness and character. Return to the fee. The complete human represents the five-field achieving meta-coherent self-organization. A conscious node containing within itself the operating principles for skilled action, respectful relationship, harmonic resonance, and joyful persistence. We are not grafting something alien onto humanity. We are recognizing and cultivating the latent, highest potential of the field's own inherent tendency toward integrated, reflective complexity. The complete human is the universe, in our local corner, waking up to its own nature and choosing to embody that nature in a balanced, beautiful, responsible way. We are the universe learning to be a good steward of itself. Closing. Picture yourself once more in the atrium of integration. Leo has departed, thoughtful, carrying new questions to live into. Elara the sage sits in tranquil silence beneath the great tree, a living testament to integration. The four archways stand perpetually open, gardens of endless potential, waiting to be explored and tended. Peace be upon you.